Yeah, Irene will be here later.
Thank you.
Her house is in our...
Whenever you're the only elected official in the room, you get the feeling the rest of them are having a great party. You weren't invited to, so I'm a little concerned about that. But,
we're at the party, sir.
Okay, great. It's good to be here. So I think the most important thing that City Council is dealing with right now, the mayor just put forward his proposal for a permanent funding stream for affordable housing. And it's a combination of raising property taxes at $500,000 on an average $300,000 home. It's about $1 a month. If your house is worth more than that, you can do the math and maybe ask to pay $2 or $3 more a month on your property tax bill. In addition to the $500,000, there's a first ever development impact fee that's been proposed, which ranges, it's a one-time payment between, it starts at 40 cents for industrial, agricultural development, up to about $1.70 a square foot for traditional high-rise, large-scale development. These figures are not just pulled out of the air. You're not allowed to do that. You need to do a nexus study which examines the actual effect of development and gives you a legal maximum of how much you can charge to offset that development. The amount of money that we're charging, that maximum number of $1.70, is way, way, way under what the Nexus study told us we could legally charge. There are other cities charging $7 a foot, $24 a foot. I think Boston may be up in the $40 a square foot range. I mention all this detail because we are already getting a full frontal assault from the development community, who does not like this idea at all. During the campaign, there were only a couple of people that I was trying to talk to and get to know that I just couldn't hook up with. One was my colleague, Paul Lopez, who's become a good friend. We just couldn't meet up. The other was a particular developer. So I was just on a trip with a bunch of city and private business people to Brooklyn, and this guy was happened to be one of the people there, and I ran into him a couple of times and thought this was my chance to chat, and just couldn't get his attention. He didn't seem interested. And on the last day, we hear from our final speaker. We're walking back over to the hotel to get an Uber over to LaGuardia Airport. And this guy's on my shoulder like, now we're best friends. And hey, about this development impact fee, this is just a terrible, terrible idea. And his idea was, instead of charging the developers this minimal amount of money, was we should do it as a sales tax increase. The most regressive possible tax known to man. So they're already starting the pressure. We're going to need your support if, in fact, you support this idea. If there are changes that you would like us to consider, please let us know. But it is going to be a difficult fight along the way. Yes, Gio?
What are they going to do with the money? Is the city going to build this housing, or?
It's going to be probably not the city as a contractor, but it's going to be incentives to allow for construction. It's going to be money to help people stay in existing homes. It's going to be money for rehabilitation of affordable housing. It's a pretty broad-based approach. And as I was talking with someone earlier, Denver right now has 100,000 housing burdened families at all levels, meaning you're paying way more a percentage of your income than you should for your housing. 100,000. This program is supposed to raise about $155 million to produce 6,000 units over 10 years. Okay, New York City needs 1 million units. Their Mayor de Blasio's recommendation there is their goal is 200,000 units. That's 1 out of the 5 they need. Our start is about 1 out of 15 that we need. So it's a number of us feel we need to be a bit more bold in what we're doing to actually have an effect. So, yes, sir.
If someone does a pop-up, would that incur a fee?
It's anything, yeah, any development that you do, there'll be a per square foot bump. On an average home, I think 2,500 square foot home, I think they figured it's about $1,500, something in that neighborhood.
So it's homeowners as well, remodeling.
Yes,
It takes a permit.
yes, it's not just commercial towers, it's everybody. Yes, Lance.
Councilman Kashmann, when I was on the Parker Town Council about 15 years ago, we implemented an impact fee. I'm wondering if there are any provisions made for the impact on traffic congestion, that sort of thing, with extra housing coming in.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, the impact fees are designed to maintain the current level of services, and they're not a tax. But you can pick which level of services you're talking about. So I'm wondering if the impact on the citizens
Right.
through increased density or something like that.
This study looked at the impact of development on housing. So this money is earmarked for housing. Other cities, as you well know, have impact fees addressing the full range of impacts from a development. This is aimed only at housing.
So I'm wondering, the reason I'm bringing it up is I'm wondering, is the political sales point on this, what are you offering the average person who's not particularly concerned about affordable housing?
Well, what we're offering people who don't see an immediate need for housing for themselves is the city's already hearing that we're losing businesses that have looked at Denver as a location because we can't house their employees. There's no direct line between Denver Public Schools and Denver City Council, but I spent a couple of months going around to all the schools in my district, ranging from early childhood locations to Denver, University of Denver. Every single one, without exception, without my prompting, told me that their teachers can't find housing in the city. They're having a hard time finding affordable housing. Our cops, we're losing cops because they can't find housing. We're losing firefighters. It's a real problem. We just can't afford to be a city where only the wealthy can live, you know. And while a number of us who are living in these expensive properties don't consider ourselves wealthy, when we move out, you're going to have to be wealthy to move in. So, yes, ma'am.
You said this will impact about 6,000 houses.
It's aimed to create 6,000.
Do you intend to expand the program in the future? Because that's a really small number.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. That would be my hope. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. It's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket. But it is a start. And one thing the development community is afraid of is, as I said, we don't have any impact fee on development now. And even though the numbers are low, once that door is open, they're afraid it'll get pushed open wider. And I think they're right.
Yeah.
Because my discussions out in the community is people believe that there's a responsibility that the impacts of development be shared by everybody, including the development community. Yes, John?
Paul, I think you're being way too polite. I think we should say that the development community is raping Denver, and it's time we stood up to them.
Okay. That's very good. Can I quote John?
Yes.
It's screw high.
Use my name.
Very good. That's what F-E-R, correct?
Yes, thank you. Have you heard of any potential interest from HUD about participating in something like this above the long-standing low-income program that they had already for decades? If there's been any interest from them in the federal funding and that they would participate in this kind of a program to add affordable housing?
My understanding is this would be a separate initiative because of the nature of the need for the funds to be directed in particular area, in particular direction. HUD obviously always plays an important role in affordable housing for the city, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. First is that, I heard recently, this was a few months ago, that Denver was one of the few cities that won the Smarter Cities initiative, which is that data study from IBM that would look at our homelessness and lack of housing issues and try and provide some solutions that then the city would take and act upon. So one, where is that and how's that coming along? And then number two, in the news there was a recent scandal about the monies that were donated to help the homeless being used actually to harass the homeless. If you could speak to that, I don't know enough, so I'm just typing the question as I think of it.
The first, about the Smart Cities Challenge, we lost. Okay, it was a $40 million opportunity, and we did not succeed in that. A lot of planning that went into it will hopefully give us guidance for some programs down the road to achieve what we want to achieve, but no, we did not get that $40 million bump. As far as the money that you're talking about, that was donated to help the homeless, that was used to fund some of the suites, depends on who you talk to as to how that's interpreted. I'm as concerned as a lot of people that money might not have been appropriately used. Yes, ma'am?
Hi. I hope I'm still on the right track here with your plan. When Governor Hickenlooper was mayor, there was a amendment or a clause passed, where every new housing, something, going in, they have to have some kind of affordable housing units in there. Well, of course, Lodo was supposed to have the same thing, but they could buy their way out of that clause where they had to have affordable housing in their buildings. And, as everybody knows, the cost of rental or housing is going up and up and up and up, and then people just can't afford even renting. And so it seems like more and more private developers are taking over a lot of things where they can get through that clause where they have to have affordable housing or Section 8 or something like that in there. It's, I know Mayor Hancock and Robin, I don't know if I say her name right.
Robin, sure.
Right. Okay. Are working very on this project.
Sure. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So if the impact fee, the funding stream passes, it will replace the inclusionary housing ordinance for new development. The IHO will stay in place for existing development. The inclusionary housing ordinance had the provision where any for sale development over 30 units, you had to build 10% affordable housing. There was an option for the developer to buy their way out of that, okay? And that's generally what happened. It did not provide, incentivize the construction of a lot of affordable units. What we're doing now is coming from the opposite direction. You pay money in with this impact fee, and there will be a build option. If you want to build affordable units, you can get credit for some of that development fee. So it's coming from a whole different direction, and we expect it to generate considerably more units.
Would you like to say anything about the open mic at the City Council?
Sure, yeah. Before I get the hook, on July 11, we had our City Council had the first public comment session, open mic, which we're doing half hour before the first regularly scheduled council meeting of each month. Speakers get 3 minutes to address any topic you care to address relating to city business. We're not really concerned what you had for dinner that night or where you're going on vacation, but feel free to give us your unvarnished opinion about anything going on in the city. We had 11 people signed up for the first one. I believe 8 people showed up to speak. It was a wide-ranging discussion of city issues, actually very valuable. So this is your time. Please make use of it. You can sign up between Friday at noon on the Friday before the public comment session up till 4:30 that afternoon. But remember, we're only going to be able to accommodate 9, 10, or 11 speakers, depending on how much time they use. So if you're interested, sign up early.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
2 minutes though for our